Hi folks, my name is Olaf Borowski and I wanted to introduce you to a new feature in ComWare, which is TCL scripting. I have created a script called Easy IRF to demonstrate how IRF can be set up using a single command line or interactively by answering some fundamental questions. So let's get started. I have two switches here, HP 5901 and HP 5902. They resemble two units fresh out of the box. The only thing I've done is copy the script to the internal flash. The script could also be run from a plugged-in USB drive. Obviously, I need console access to perform this task. I will configure the first switch using the interactive option. The script will ask me a few questions regarding some of the required parameters. It will also verify each parameter to ensure that IRF will be correctly configured. One additional task I need to perform is turn off logging and monitoring because it interferes with the console session. So let's do this right now. So undo terminal monitoring and undo terminal logging level. Let me do that on the second switch at the same time. So this way we won't get those messages on the screen. So again, the switches are right out of the box. There's no IRF configuration, so HP 5900-1, you will see here that the member ID is 1, it's the master. Domain ID is 0, those are all default parameters. And we're going to look at the second switch. Same here, the member ID is 1, it's the master. Domain ID, that's from her previous test I ran, is 1 in this case, but we're going to change that anyways. So let's get started on HP 5900-1. We'll have to enter the TCL script or shell, go into System View, and then we source the file easy IRF in this example. So source easy_IRF.tcl, and it should come up with some questions. So it's asking me if I want to proceed in interactive mode or command line mode. I'm going to answer here yes, because I want to do it interactively. It's going to give me another screen describing some of the parameters here. So we're going to have to set the member ID, the priority, the domain ID, the virtual IRF port, and the Ethernet ports associated with those IRF ports. So I am ready to proceed, so I'm going to hit yes. It's asking me for new member ID, so it's telling me the current member ID, if you look above, is 1. In this case I want to keep it 1, but I'm going to show you, for instance, if I enter wrong parameter, it's going to tell me the member ID is invalid. So I want to keep it 1 in this case. A new priority, so the priority range is, like it says above in the explanation, 1 through 32. I'm going to give it a priority of 30, which is pretty high. I'm going to define the domain ID with 0. I would like to create a new virtual IRF interface, 1/1, and I want to add ports to it. So I'm going to say 10.1.0/1 and 10.1.0/2. I'm going to demonstrate real quick if I do something like this. For instance, enter 10.1.0/5. The system will come back and tell me that the ASIC combination is not valid. So you have to select IRF member ports that are on the same ASIC. So for instance, ASIC number 1 has port 1, 2, 3, and 4 associated with it. So it's telling me to re-enter those ports. 1,10.1/0/2. And now it's going to go off. It first displays the parameters I entered. So member ID is 1, priority of 30, domain ID of 0, the IRF port, the virtual IRF port I'm creating 1/1, and then it adds actually 4 ports to it. I only entered 2, but it's adding 4. So that's something special on the 5900. It requires you to configure all 4 ports on that ASIC to be in the same mode, in this case IRF. The switch is telling you that it had set the domain ID, the priority. It's adding those ports that I was talked about to the virtual IRF port. It's shut down the interfaces prior to doing all this, and now it's re-enabling all the interfaces. It's saving the configuration, activating IRF, and saving the configuration again. I have to save the configuration twice because the switch, the second switch that will come online, will automatically detect that the master is online and reboot basically after enabling or activating IRF. So that's why I have to do that twice. And as you can see here, if I scroll back, the member ID is 1, the priority is 30, the domain ID is set to 0, and here you can see all the ports that were added to the virtual IRF port 1/1. So the second switch I will configure via one command line. So again, we would have to enter the TCL shell. I go to System View and also source the easy IRF.tcl script. In this case, I want to use the command line version, so I don't want to proceed interactively, so no. The next thing the system is going to ask me is to enter all parameters in one line. So this switch I want to make member number 2, so M2, we're going to give it a priority of 20, domain ID of 0, my IRF port is going to be 2/2, and the ports I want to add is 1/0/1 and 10.1/0/2. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this because I know the switch is going to reboot because I'm changing the member ID. So I'm going to hit return, and it's telling me that my command line parameters are not correct. So minus M2, let's do this again, minus P30, minus D0, minus I 2/2, minus E 10.1/0/1, comma 10.1/0/2. And now the switch detected that the current IRF member ID is 1, the new one is 2, so that means the switch needs to apply the renumber command and reboot. So I'm going to turn off the screen or video capture because it takes a little bit of time for the switch to boot, so I will come back when the switch is back up again. So the switch has just rebooted, it's back up again. Let's turn off terminal monitoring and logging. Enter the TCL shell again, go into System View, and we're going to have to source. Well, first let's look display IRF. So now the member ID is 2. We haven't really changed any other parameters, so let's source the easy IRF.tcl file again. Yes, I misspelled it, so source easy_IRF.tcl. Again, we're going to answer no because we want to use the command line this time. So minus M2 minus priority of 20, domain ID of 0, the our virtual IRF port is 2.2, and we're going to have to add Ethernet ports to it. We're going to say, oops, I mistyped again, minus E 10 2/0/1 and 10 2/0/2. Let me verify this real quick. So member ID 2, priority of 20, domain ID of 0. We want to create a virtual IRF port of 2/2, and we want to add these Ethernet ports to it, so this should be correct. So again, it's displaying my configuration up there, the parameters I entered, and it's now executing it, shutting down all ports on the box, setting the priority and the domain ID. It's creating the virtual IRF port 2/2 and adding those ports to it. After this, it will be re-enabling all those ports. And before activating IRF, it's going to save the configuration. So remember I said earlier, now that it's activating, the ports are going to come up, see the other side is configured for IRF, and they're going to form the IRF cluster. So somewhere in between now, you should see that the box is rebooting, meaning it has seen the other side. There it is. So I'm going to pause again here real quick and let the box reboot and demonstrate that IRF configured correctly. Okay, the second switch has rebooted, and let's see if we can log in. It should actually have the same prompt as unit number 1, and it sure does, HP 5900-1, even though if you can see up here it's 5900-2, that's the console I'm logged into. But it doesn't matter. Let's look at the configuration real quick. Display IRF topology. So you see that the links are up. And IRF is working. Thanks for watching.